No. Good morning or afternoon, I'm not sure which. Um, welcome to, good morning and welcome to the MYP Certificate Ceremony for our 5-year MYP students. I'm Miss Christina Caragine, the MYP coordinator at Boyce Middle School, where the students begin their journey in the MYP career in 5th grade. So welcome.
Have they changed at all since 5th grade?
A little bit.
A little bit. And I'm Andrew Bowers. I'm the coordinator at Fort Couch Middle School, which is grades 7 and 8. So after Boyce, you're starting to get a feel for the MYP program. Community service hours go up a little bit. Curriculum gets a little bit more rigorous and intense before you end up at the high school with Mr. Matthews.
All right. I feel bad. I have to go down to get to the microphone, and I look down, you're on your tiptoes, so I feel bad. I'm going to move it up, though, a little bit here. Welcome to the MYP Certificate Ceremony. My name is Gordon Matthews. As Mr. Bowers mentioned, I am the high school MYP coordinator. Today, we are here to celebrate the successful completion of the MYP program for 162 10th grade students. Most of you have been working towards this milestone since 5th grade with Mrs. Caragine, and it seems like Boyce was a long time ago. However, you have all persevered through an extraordinary time in order to reach today. Collectively, you have contributed over 19,000 community service hours to various causes throughout the area. In addition, you have completed your elective requirements, continued learning a world language for 4 years, and completed your MYP personal project. These are just a few of the requirements that all of your students have completed in order to earn this honor today. Before we get started, I do want to thank the rest of our MYP team. These folks have spent time over the past 6 years to ensure that all of these students were able to achieve this honor today. Mrs. Caragine from Boyce Middle School, Mr. Bowers from Fort Couch Middle School, and Mrs. Souza from here at the high school. Next slide. Today, you'll hear from some of our distinguished MYP alumni, current MYP students, and of course, our high school principal. So without further ado, I would like to now introduce our high school principal, Dr. Timothy Wagner.
Thanks, Mr. Matthews. Welcome, everyone. I'm so pleased to have a chance to be here. Students, it's awesome to see you. Congratulations. Thanks for taking some time midday to have this recognition. But also to your families that were able to be here today, families, other friends, grandparents, anyone that may be in the audience to support you and to support your academic journey. It's a great opportunity for sure to be here. Also, thank you to the organizers and Ms. Sanger and Dr. Beck, who are also here, just in support of all that you've accomplished. And so many of you are such high-achieving, hardworking students that sometimes it's hard to remember that you are working towards something. This is just your day. You have a busy day. You're doing all your work. You're completing community service hours. What I love about the MYP program and the ceremony that happens today is it's like a halfway point. You've made it halfway through your high school career, and it's not often that we get these chances in high school to really pause over the next half an hour or so and to reflect and to think about all that you've accomplished. So think about it like an intermission or halftime of a game. You've made it to your halfway point of high school. And as you reflect over the time that we're together today, I hope you think about all of the things that you've accomplished to this point. So much of the MYP program and the curriculum that you've participated in has encouraged you to think about others' perspectives, to think in a more global or an internationally minded way. And in so doing, that perspective taking that you've done allows you to hold on to your own beliefs a little more strongly, or maybe to consider the beliefs of others and to build mutual respect around different points of view. And so that notion of how to understand other people while all the while understanding yourself a little better too is something that was inherent in the courses that you've taken. And though day by day you may not have thought about that, students, I hope that today you're able to think about the opportunities you have had, whether it was learning about a scientist or reading about a character in a piece of fiction in your English classes. It's all about understanding other people in terms of this program. But as Mr. Matthews mentioned, service. And serving our community, be it our smaller community of Upper St. Clair, but many of you have stepped out regionally or completed service opportunities outside of the Pittsburgh area. You should be so proud of what you've done and what you've contributed to our society. here's the part that I'm most excited about. Your participation in the MYP program, how you've grown and how you'll continue to grow, will influence our high school for years to come. And the reason that I mention that today is some of you may be familiar that our high school currently has a tradition of hosting TEDx talks, right? And TED Talks are something that many of us are familiar with. Maybe you watch them on YouTube, these inspirational talks. Well, TEDx is the program that can come into places like high schools and where students can be speakers. And maybe some of you have spoken in our TEDx talks here. We had it again this year. And maybe in the future, you'll apply to be a presenter there. So what does that have to do with today? Well, the TEDx talks that we call a tradition here at Upper St. Clair at this point started with an MYP student's 10th grade project. His idea was that he wanted to have TED Talks here. And so he initiated that as part of his project, saw it through in his junior year, his senior year. And now that our pandemic is passing and we're able to gather like this again, TEDx Talks returned again this year. It was all because of an idea that started in 10th grade as part of the MYP project. He's a student at the University of Pittsburgh and came back this year as an alum of Upper St. Clair to watch what it was that he started as a 10th grader. And so there are things that you've done this year, whether you realize it or not, that will contribute to what you'll contribute in the future here at the high school and even in your years after Upper St. Clair. I'm so proud of that possibility, but possibilities aside, I'm so proud of what you've accomplished and the momentous occasion that we've reached here today. So thank you for all of that hard work. Speaking of alumni, we're so excited that today, two of our keynote speakers, one by way of video, but one here in person, are Upper St. Clair alums. And so it's my honor at this time to introduce the speaker who will share some inspirational words with you, and her name is Mara Boston. Mara is a manager within the valuation, modeling, and financial advisory in the Deloitte Risk and Financial Advisory practice based in Washington, D.C. She provides corporate finance and financial restructuring assistance. She also manages Deloitte CFO Transition Labs. These are workshops for CFOs working with top business executives that drive company strategy and organization improvements. Mara serves on the University of Notre Dame Women Connect board and also the same university's alumni club in its Pittsburgh board. She has a background in accounting and political science, and then, this is important, right, with those majors in mind, has an international business certificate, all from the University of Notre Dame. So Mara is a proud MYP certificate recipient herself. She sat in these chairs, although we're also proud of how the program has grown. Mara and I were just mentioning that at the time she graduated, 25, 30 students were earning the certificate, and now we have well over 100. And it also was an IB diploma graduate here from Upper St. Clair in the class of 2013. So please join me in welcoming one of our speakers today, Mara Boston.
Congratulations on receiving your MYP certificate. I sat in these same seats as a USC sophomore back in 2011. You can see on the left-hand side, that's me with my family receiving my MYP certificate. After many hours of community service and the race to finish my personal project, which I brought with me today, I know just how special this moment is. Not only is today a celebration of what you accomplished, but it is a stepping stone in your IB journey. IB changes your life. That's not an exaggeration. IB actually changes your life and how you think. The daily expectations and standards, the daily grind, will serve you both in and outside of the classroom forever. Now more than ever, your local and global community need people like you, and the IB program prepares you to be successful. Trust the process, and you will achieve things beyond your wildest dreams. There's one anecdote that I want to share with you today that epitomizes the impact of IB. When I was in college, I coordinated a virtual IB reunion, so my fellow USC IB classmates spent an evening catching up on Google Hangouts. Remember, this was pre-Zoom and Teams. We spanned from Notre Dame to Villanova to Utrecht in the Netherlands in our geographic location, but somehow managed to find a time that worked for our busy schedules. As we all caught up, it was immediately clear that every single person was succeeding academically, every single person participated in the activities that they loved, and every single person was volunteering in their new communities. The respect for themselves, others, and the world around them was so apparent in how they achieved their extraordinary personal success. This moment has forever stuck with me. The IB program gifted us with a limitless opportunity to learn, develop, and reflect in order to distill our path and impact the world. As you finish the school year with a newly minted MYP certificate, my call to action is go beyond to give back. Find the time to mentor a younger student, take the time to talk to someone you otherwise wouldn't, and thank those who support you. I'm excited to hear about the rest of your IB journey and how you go beyond in your community. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mara. Our next speaker is by way of video. He was not able to be here today, so he sent us a video. Matt Vernaccia is a scientific software engineer at Commonwealth Fusion Systems in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Previously, Matt interned on SpaceX guidance, navigation, and control team, and he developed an experimental rocket motors at MIT. Matt loves hiking, flying gliders, and he recently received his private pilot license. Matt graduated from Upper St. Clair in 2011 and received his degree in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT. I promise I tried this like 3 times. Some of the parents that were here earlier know that I definitely tried this multiple times and the sound worked great. All right, well, that's technology, right? No matter how many times you try, it's bound to not work whenever you need it to. Okay, students, I will send you this video so that you can hear the words from Matt. It is a wonderful video. He talks about his work at SpaceX, so I know that'll interest a lot of you. So you'll receive this. We'll actually probably post it to the Canvas page that Mrs. Sousa has. So, all right. Apologize for the hiccup here. Okay, so next we are going to have our student presenters join us here on the stage, and they are going to speak about their MYP experiences and announce the the MYP certificate recipients. Students?
Hello, my name is Natalie Campagna, and those of you that know me will know that I've spent the last a little bit over half of my life living in Bologna, Italy, and that's one of the most beautiful cities that you can see. It's also one of the food capitals of the country. During my time in America, I've experienced a lot of cultural differences in just the way that people live here, and a lot of things that have blocked me from participating in my Italian culture the way that I would have before, or how I was used to. And I realized that the same is true for a lot of different Italian families that we've come into contact with, and also just people from all around the world, from different countries who are coming to the US, and who aren't really able to participate in their own culture. And this is something that I wanted to solve with my project. Because food was so central to my city's culture, I decided to make a cookbook of traditional Italian recipes that can be made in the US. And I did this by trying to modify them to fit American ingredients and also prices and just availability, because there's so much difference in what you could find in your just average grocery store. To do this, I first interviewed a lot of my Italian friends and also my family to find different family recipes and traditional recipes from the city. And then I experimented with each individual recipe and with different substitutions that I could make for different ingredients. And I tested them on some of my siblings. So some of these foods were absolute failures and they didn't work at all. But I kept going, and eventually I ended up with an entire cookbook just full of recipes that had been modified and that I could make. And it was all, like, it all tasted authentic as well. So one of the best aspects of my project was being able to reconnect with my culture in an authentic way without costing my family too much. Thank you. Now, would the following MYP certificate recipients please stand to be recognized? Amanda Adar, Isabella Alsop, Ryan Arya, Grace Atencio, Lauren Babbitt, Luca Baird, Kirsten Burrell, Alexandra Burkowski, Isaac Bernstein, Yusuf bin Hamad, Lucas Bishop, Gregory Bowner, Elida Budak, Witten Burns, Brooke Buffalini, Melody Caliskin, and Natalie Campagna. Thank you. You can now be seated. Now I'd like to introduce Henry Ginsberg.
Hi, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Henry Ginsberg. And by this point, pretty much every student in the room knows that I never quite grew out of building things with Lego. So back in 2019, in 8th grade, I decided to make a scale model of my house here in Upper St. Clair. And I thought it was one of the most amazing things I ever built. I was really proud of it. And it really, pushed my skills as a builder and, all that kind of stuff. But what that really led to was me making more houses. My other house, my family's houses, my aunt's house, all the different houses in our family. And that led to kind of during COVID, during December of 2021, I created Henry's Lego Home Building, which is my business where I basically take people's houses and I build them out of Legos as a set and I sell them to people. So in order to, I use this as my IB project because I thought that, I can really grow here and I can push myself to learn new skills about how to run a business and how to interact with people. So I knew that I would need, some kind of way to market, some kind of way to get the word out. So I made a website, and I made business cards, and I made an Instagram page. So from there, I had my first customer, right? And I took all the profit from that, and I invested it back into the business, getting business cards, getting a premium website subscription, and that's kind of how I grew the business in, the early part of this year. And then I got my second sale, and now I have my third sale just recently. So I'm continuing this after my IB project, which I'm really proud of. I'm glad that I'm able to continue this and keep moving forward with this even after, this program has kind of ended. So overall, this project has taught me so much about how, people interact with the world, how people interact with businesses, and just how to market and get the word out about something. So thanks. Now we're gonna recognize some more students who have completed their IB project. So would these people please stand up? Rachel Carson, Riley Caslin, Megan Cassidy, Julia Cedar, Luana Cesar, Andrew Chakos, Leona Chen, Darlara Cocular, Reese Copenhaver, Alexandria Cortez, Natalie Cowles, Jessica Crothamill, Katie Daniels, Fina Darko, Gabby Deep, and Ryan Dakar.
Hi, everyone. I am Luke McDonough, and I'm sure if any of you guys know me or even just follow me on Instagram, then you know that I'm really interested in filmmaking and potentially doing that as a career. So for my MYP project, I decided to write a feature-length film screenplay. After years of creating various short films and whatnot, it had always been a goal of mine to write a feature-length screenplay, and I felt that the MYP project would provide the best framework for me to finally be able to achieve that goal. I wanted to write something that explored a lot of aspects about human emotion and philosophy and whatnot, but of course to do that I had to start with the basic structure of the screenplay. So I just started with some basic descriptions of the characters and the basic beginning, middle, and end of the story. And from there I was able to flesh out the details more, and as I got writing, I really was able to get into the emotional side of the story, and it really became a story about I guess, self-actualization and our perceptions of identity and morality and how that relates to the people around us, while also containing layers of post-apocalyptic fiction that sort of incorporated relevant issues such as climate change. And of course, like any piece of art, it does build off of inspiration from previous artists, ranging from Andrei Tarkovsky to Taylor Swift, but is ultimately something original, or at least I hope so. And of course, the goal of any film script is to eventually become an actual film, which would employ a wide variety of artists, performers, craftspeople, technicians, etc., and would hopefully contribute to the world's larger artistic and philosophical conversation about the human condition and the world that we live in. And doing this as my MYP project really taught me a lot about the importance of artistic expression when it comes to the philosophical and emotional elements of life, and how artistic expression can really help us connect with other people. So now we will recognize some more recipients of the MYP certificate. So when you hear your name, please stand up. Elizabeth Deloe, Sophia Danoon, Boshi Dong, Joseph Donnelly, Rowan Duffy, Daniel Elconi, Evie Ellenberger, Avery Ellsbury, Peter Engel, Matthew Fibby, Diana Funaro, Alexis Gardner, Louis Gargani, Sydney Garvey, Ujjal Gautam, Jacob Geis. Now I would like to introduce Lydia Rhodes.
Hi, my name is Lydia Rhodes. For those of you who know me, you are well aware that one of my favorite hobbies is baking. It has been a huge part of my life for the past 3 to 4 years, but more recently has turned into a small business. When deciding what to do for my MYP project, the decision was rather easy since I wanted to accomplish 2 things. The first goal was being to improve my business. I did this by making more people aware of my business, challenging myself in what I sold, and doing more baking than I had ever done at once. My second goal was to donate to a charity that I was passionate about. I ended up choosing the Red Door, which is a church-run organization that provides food to homeless people in our city. The impact that they have on so many people's lives is incredible, and I was so happy to be able to work with them. From my project, I learned that how doing things that you love can benefit others around you, and that everyone has different talents that allow them to do this. Would the following MYP certificate recipients please stand to be recognized? Henry Ginsberg, Carolina Gomez, Nate Grabowski, Olivia Gray, Miriam Gutenson, Evelyn Herzog, Andrew Hess, Larissa Haba, Olivia Hauk, Marshall Howe, Fernando Humphreys, Priyasha Atani, Chris Ito, Neil June, Ethan Eust, and Coleman Joyce. Now I'd like to introduce Noah Shimshi.
Okay, I have to go on my tippy toes for this. Hi, I'm Noah Shimshi, if you don't know me, and here's a little bit about my MYP project. So, my fascination with Earth and nature has become it started when I was super young, and I was just like in my backyard, like rummaging and going through all my stuff that I would like use like sand pit tools and like make mud pies, and which my parents were not very happy to receive because they were quite disgusting. They had like live worms in them. But as I got older, my fascination progressed into a passion of taking care of our Earth and really enforcing climate change awareness. So I really wanted to find a way to incorporate this into my MYP project. Whenever the time came around and everybody was brainstorming, I thought of making the high school and fixing the high school's recycling system, because at the time whenever I started my project, it was only recycling paper and cardboard, which obviously is not ideal. So I had to first talk to people. Main person was Mr. Snyder, who is the assistant director of facilities at the high school, and he changed one of the dumpsters that we have outside to an aluminum and plastic dumpster. So that was the first step. And afterwards, I had to email a company, and they donated 5 bins that are going to be placed around the school starting next year, in which you can recycle aluminum and plastic, which is obviously much better. So throughout my MYP project, I learned to really focus on something that you're passionate about, and if you think that you can do something, there were a lot of bumps. Originally, I wanted to have aluminum and plastic bins in every single classroom, but that is not ideal, and it was something too ambitious, so I really had to focus and narrow it down to just around the school, and maybe in the future it will turn into every classroom. But I really learned to stick with something I'm passionate about, and don't forget to recycle, because it's really important. So now with the following MYP certificates, please stand to be recognized. Veer Kamat, Aiden Kappert, Maya Kashak, Jake Kilzer, Annabelle Kirk, Ian Kirk, Janelle Knierim, Kira Kowalski, Lexi Kramer, Katie Kucherari, Arnav Kumar, Joran Laffin, Grace Larson, Isabella Latanzi, Benton Leggett, and Aubrey Lenthal. And I invite up Isabella Zhang.
Hi everyone, my name is Isabella Zhang, and when I was deciding on what to make my final MYP project about, much like all of you guys were at one point, I decided to look back at my time in 7th grade, the year in which, as some of you may or may not remember, we experienced our very first engineering fair. Now I realize that the science fair was definitely not important in the grand scheme of basically everything, but my group's failure at the time was what inspired my MYP project, where I decided to re-challenge myself in creating a hydroelectric dam that could power 2 lights. To accomplish this, I obviously first had to research about hydropower, dams, and renewable energy, and then all that was left to do was to create sketches, build the design, and test whether the design was successful, revise, and repeat until my model finally succeeded. And ultimately, through this project, I really got to understand, as cliche as it sounds, just how interconnected humanity is to the rest of nature, and how much our actions really do impact the environments in which we live. All right, moving on, with the following MYP certificate recipients, please stand to be recognized. Adam Levine, Leah Levine, Noah Levine, Sam Levine, Colin Ling, Kayla Livingston, Jack Loudon, Autumn Ma, Chase McDonald, Macaulay Mack, Anna McCall, Lee Mamana, Claire Manalo, Tommy Manning, Marin Mannix, and Gigi Marasco. Okay, I'd now like to introduce Lexi Kramer.
Hi, my name is Lexi Kramer. The inspiration for my MYP project came from spending a lot of time traveling to Florida. From traveling to Florida, I quickly became passionate about learning about marine life and specifically ways to save endangered species. So, of course that would happen. So I decided to conduct a beach cleanup to contribute to a safer environment. To do this, I first did research on what beach would be the most ideal location for a cleanup. I had to plan out and buy supplies that I would need to provide to the people participating in the cleanup. I also eventually had to advertise the cleanup to the community. Around 50 people participated in my event. After conducting my beach cleanup, I counted up the collected waste and submitted my findings to a database that tracks other beach cleanups around the world. Overall, I really enjoyed bringing the community together for a good cause. Thank you. Now, would the following MYP certificate recipients please stand to be recognized? Savannah McCormick, Luke McDonough, Brian McFerrin, John McNally, Lucia Miles, Sophia Montoya Posada, Caroline Murphy, Roshith Nadampalli, Emily Nyberg, Sarah Nelson, Gabriel Pachella, Jude Pagliai, Henna Pelosuo, Malewa Parasom, Liam Park, and Mahir Parmar. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Mahir Parmar.
Hello, my name is Mahir Parmar, and I've always had a love for gaming. Whether it be a way to relax with some friends or a rush of excitement from playing in a competitive tournament, video games have been one of my hobbies. The only problem was that I didn't have a enough computer to run the newest games. However, with some money saved and some curiosity on how computers work, I had a solution: building my own desktop. By building my own computer, not only could I save some money, but I also could learn more about what is behind so many of the devices that make up our world. The first process was researching all the different options, finding which ones were compatible and which ones had the most bang for your buck. Finally, once I had all my parts, I had to assemble it. Fast forward a couple hours of reading manuals and putting screws in the right places, I had a computer that I could use every day from doing homework to playing games. I also had some newfound knowledge on all the components of computers and all the improvements and innovations that are being made at an exponential rate each year. I hope one day I might also be able to improve these technologies and improve the world around us. Would the following MYP certificate recipients please stand to be recognized? Leah Pash, Anisha Patel, Arya Patel, Shabam Patel, Arav Patel, Gwenth Porter, Catherine Pazowski, Louis Kyoga Castaneda, Isabella Ryman, Lydia Rhodes, Carter Ritchie, Nicholas Rosales Mejia, Dhruv Sagi, Jan Sames, Ryan Sarwar, Rohit Sadluri, and Gabriel Saunders. Now I'd like to introduce Gabby Deep.
Hello everyone, my name is Gabby Deep. As some of you may know, this past fall, my 8-year-old cousin Mallory was diagnosed with lymphoma, which is a type of cancer that required her to be hospitalized for 72 days. While she was inpatient, Mallory was informed that she qualified for a Make-A-Wish trip, and she chose a trip to Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. 1 out of every 2 wishes granted in the US has been a Disney wish, according to the Make-A-Wish website. Since many Make-A-Wish trips are not happening right now as a result of COVID-19, I worked to brainstorm ideas on how to bring a little Disney to each of the hospitals. My original idea was to visit the hospital where Mallory was treated, dressed as Belle, to offer a meet and greet experience for the children staying there, which unfortunately was not possible due to COVID-19 regulations. Working with the child life staff at Kentucky Children's Hospital, we came up with a plan. I decided to raise money to donate books to the children that were inpatient in the hospital. Inside each of the books, I used a QR code to link a video of Princess Belle reading the given stories and talking to each of the children. These children and their families go through so much, and so my goal was to try to offer a special and memorable experience for each of the children that would later receive the storybooks. I began this project hoping to raise enough money to buy just 50 books, thinking that that would be enough to make a large impact on each of the lives of the children at KCH. After 4 weeks, I had raised enough money to purchase 8 times that amount, reaching over $1,000, all of which went towards helping the children. I have no words to express how truly grateful I am for the support that I received from the community. Oh, and one more thing. As of early this year, Mallory is now completely cancer-free. Thank you. Now, with the following MYP certificate recipients, please stand to be recognized. Janai Sayer, Daniel Seawald, Asha Segal, Roy Shigansanowski, Mexam Levi Shevchenko, Noah Shimshi, Anna Snyder, Evangeline Sullivan, Alex Sun, Arjun Suresh, Violet Swaggart, Maya Talasella, Maxon Thomas, Lauren Trainer, Grace Treves, Yog Trivedi. Thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Marin Mannix.
Hi everyone, my name is Marin Mannix. When searching for an idea for my MYP project, I reflected on my interest in the environment. Furthermore, when I was little, my older sister used to buy stuffed animals for my birthdays from a nonprofit organization, the National Wildlife Federation. From there, I began my research on their website and dug deeper into environmental initiatives that their organization put together. And that's where I discovered the Wildlife Habitat Garden, a project in which I utilized my backyard to create and stabilize a healthy environment for various wildlife to live and interact in. More specifically, the actual product of my project was a blueprint and layout of my garden showing particular plants, water resources, and areas of my backyard where wildlife would be able to thrive. Throughout my project, I applied resources like my parents, various books, environmental websites, and of course the National Wildlife Federation to achieve my ultimate goal, boosting diversity within my backyard and the community, as well as helping people to connect with nature in our local environment. Not only is my project centered on wildlife, but it's also a part of scientific innovation where I'll analyze and prove how even by building such a minor garden in my backyard, wildlife in the community will be able to increasingly prosper. Even more so, I'll spread awareness about my results. My personal project and the lessons I learned as a result of the global context helped me to become a better and more insightful worker and learner, especially regarding the environment. Thank you. Now, will the following MYP certificate recipients please stand to be recognized? Shiven Verma, Anastasia Vizendi, Arti Vishwakarma, Anikith Vivek Kanandan, Aiden Villasin, Burhan Wahid, Scott Wardle, Sawyer Weidman, Lauren Welch, Emily Whiteford, Olivia Wunderlich, Irene Yap, Raina Young, and Isabella Zhang. Now I'll introduce Mr. Matthews.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can we have one final round of applause for our student presenters? And of course, one last applause for all of our MYP certificate recipients. Thank you, students, for your dedication to the middle years program. As we wrap up today's celebration, we remind you that while your time at MYP has come to a close, the lessons you've learned and the people you have become will be with you for the rest of your life. Have a wonderful rest of the school year and a wonderful summer. At this time, the students will be able to be dismissed. They can receive their certificates in the back, and they will be able to have lunch in the small gym. But if you'd like to stick around for just a couple minutes and get some pictures, but they will have to get to lunch and then get to their next class after this. So please, thank you.